Welcome back to my garden. Over the last few weeks, I've been talking about transformative experiences and how these may be the key to moving forward in our path towards self-actualization. By way of a quick review, what are transformative experiences? They are experiences which change us not just epistemically, something new, something novel we've never experienced before and gives us new perceptual knowledge of the world, but also change us on a personal level, how we view the world. They're experiences that mark us as people. And we all have these transformative experiences. We kind of see them, even if we don't name them as such, in terms of two very obvious categories. One are the sort of growth experiences we have, for example, going to university. And the second category is where things happen to us that genuinely, profoundly change us, and very often things that are by no means what we wanted to happen. A failed business or a disastrous relationship that finally leaves us in tatters. But these powerful experiences shape us and help us move forward. And move forward in a way that is profoundly different to the sort of general slow, steady self-improvement that comes to any thoughtful person grinding away at the business of life. No, these are things that enable us to take almost a quantum leap forward in terms of who we are and how we live our life. But I've been speaking about a third way to approach transformative experiences, and that is to make them happen, to embrace them, to seek them out, however disruptive and inevitably uncomfortable they will be. And of course, we don't like to do that because of the inevitable discomforts that I've just mentioned. We avoid that. We are hardwired to steer clear of things that will leave us floating anxiously in a painful place. And yet it is precisely that sort of experience which will enable us to make profound growth in our lives. So why do people undertake of their own volition, not just undertake, but embrace the hardship, the struggles of transformative experiences, some transformative experiences? And I think one of the reasons that makes some people far more likely to go down this path is clarity of vision. Let me give a personal example. Let me talk about my big change in life, from being a school teacher when I lived in Sao Paulo to here, a professional artist in the northeast of Brazil, a tropical paradise, albeit a tropical paradise full to the brim with annoying little insects. So I'm going to apologize in advance for twitching and scratching and brushing off these creatures that plague me. Anyway, why did I do that? And there's lots of reasons. It's a long story. I've told it, spoken at length about it, told you about all sorts of the reasons. But I think the one that I want to focus on today was this idea of personal vision. And in my case, it sort of was two ideas that came together in my mind and they appeared separately. The first was a question, and some years ago I made an amused us, video documentary with my friend Sean Mugan, The Good, the Bad and the Gringo, and at a certain point in the video, he was interviewing me in my sculpture workshop, and I said how, one of the big problems is, I'm making all this stuff. Well, what do you do with it? I want to make big sculptures. They take up a lot of room. So I guess I need to work out how to sell it. That didn't work out quite as I planned or as I hoped or desired. But the idea was there, floating around, that I needed to do something with the sculptures. And then later on a author's visit during the reading week at our school, the two Steves, Barlow and Skidmore, children, very funny children writers, we were chatting over a beer at the end of one of the days. And Steve, one of them, knew that I did sculpture, and he asked me if I'd ever been to the Yorkshire Sculpture Park, and I said no, but I sort of went away, curiosity piqued, looked it up, and it kind of, these two ideas came together, that this would be a solution to my problem. If I had a large enough garden, I would have somewhere to put all the sculptures. And then, after meeting Rita and coming to the northeast with her for the first time and seeing this large spot of land that her father had, I thought, that's my garden. When I retire, I will have somewhere to put my sculptures. And the idea morphed and grew. It took on greater significance, a different meaning and purpose. It became a way of perhaps sharing something that was completely absent here with a large number of people. And eventually, I built an enormous art gallery, and I have started on the long, slow process of building my sculpture park. But this personal vision that sort of slowly took shape in my mind, wouldn't it be amazing to build a sculpture park? My sculpture park. This, I suppose, in a way, was a seed that planted, kind of got lodged, and started to develop in my mind of what I could do and who I could be. And then at the appropriate moment, the idea of doing something truly crazy, it was falling on, that idea was kind of falling on fertile ground, because I'd been sort of building that vision independently for some time. And then as I started to think about it, expand upon it, what I had was a very powerful motivator, powerful enough to get me over the hump, the fear, all those negative emotions that would hold me back from saying, actually, I don't have to carry on working until I'm 65. Admittedly, that kind of idea, I don't have to carry on working until I'm 65, became 60, then 55, and eventually was 47. So there were a lot of changes in the I suppose, the crystallizing of my vision. It didn't just happen overnight, but it happened, and once it was firmly rooted, I was ready to actually entertain the idea seriously and indeed embark upon what has been an astonishingly wonderful change in my life that I don't regret for a moment. I do sometimes tear my hair out, gnash my teeth, feel wrought with frustration because things are not easy, because it is a transformative experience, it's an ongoing transformative experience, but by the very nature of those, it comes full of challenges and obstacles in the path that require overcoming and are not easy. And that's what transforms us. So I think vision, I suppose I'm, in this particular example, I'm talking about something that's, if you're finding it difficult to imagine, perhaps you saw the film schmaltzy Kevin Costner classic Field of Dreams. Build it and they will come. A homage to the American dream, and the good life in the American Midwest. All that sort of stuff. Maybe not your cup of tea. I've never seen the film. I do confess I watched a few YouTube clips of the appropriate scenes to see if it kind of fitted in with what I'm talking about, and it certainly does. That kind of vision of what you could do, what you could make of your life, I suppose it also goes hand in hand with having a clear-cut vision of who you could be, a belief that you could be that person. When I think of my athletics, and I've spoken about this before, I had a coach once, I suppose I was at a training camp, I was 16, and the coach was saying, look, right now, actually it wasn't my school coach, he was one of the regional sprint coach from local university at a big scholastic training camp in the Karoo, Adelaide, South Africa. And he was, at the end of one of the sessions, he was saying, look, you are in shape right now. This season you can run 10.6. I have no doubt about it. And I believed him rationally, but on a very kind of deep existential level, I didn't believe him. And I almost got there that season. In the local provincial finals, I ran the race for 80 meters, the race of my life. I got off to a fantastic start. I was out ahead. Maybe my mother was exaggerating, but people generally said I was probably 2 meters clear of the field, at which point my hamstring just twanged and I was out the race and effectively out of athletics. It turned out forever. I never came back. There are lots of other reasons for that, but I didn't. And Marius Veyers, who won the race, won it in 10.8 or 10.9. So I was on course to that sort of time. But I don't think I'm overstating it to say that on a deep psychological level, I just didn't believe it. And that lack of belief led to a sort of tension. And the tension was resolved by the snapping of a muscle. And so I guess part of the problem with this whole question of vision is that for one reason or another, you need to have a sort of powerful inner belief in your vision that will kind of ally itself, that they will forge a version of you that is strong enough to undertake what you need to undertake. I suppose it requires an act of faith, faith in yourself or faith in something that you are going to do. To have the strength or the courage or the character to do this thing that you need to do, that you are afraid of doing. I guess that's a a daunting task and a big ask, and will require another video to explore. So I'll leave it there. As always, I'll welcome your questions, observations, thoughts, and until next week, trust your lives are filled with joy. And ciao from a sunny Brazil.